Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with Reign, episode 11 of season 3. That's right. Charles becomes king. William likes a good wig. We talk about Eric from Sweden. All this on another episode of CSI Bash. Stay tuned as we discuss.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Reign, the amazing theme song that is no longer a part of the show, but part of our hearts.
It is. Every time, every single time.
That's right. They should have never taken away.
I love it. Bring it back.
Was it a licensing issue? What do we got? Let's
what do we have
renegotiate.
to do to bring it back?
Hashtag bring the song back.
Yes.
We have Alina back.
Hey guys, you guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all the social medias at Alina Vission.
That's right. And so much has happened. We had a great panel last time out. We came out in full force. We even brought in JB.
We were in it to win it, and
that's what happens when you kill the momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a hiatus. We had a night shift.
Yeah.
And there was so many things, so many elements to work with. But hey, we're here. Nonetheless, okay, so we're back. We've got 8 episodes to go before the end of the season, and might as well just say it now. We're getting to season 4.
Yay! So excited.
Because you never know, because then it also changes up the predictions of okay, well, I guess if they have to wrap it up this season, how's that gonna work? And so there's a stress reliever when you get to say, oh, we got another season.
Another season. And there's so much more story to tell in Mary's life. So I'm excited for this.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're going to kind of jump around just a little bit, but let's start with Charles the King. Not too much to say about him, but I think he, him in that seat, I think he's finally coming into power, and there's that little smile of what, I can do this.
He's totally finding his swag now, his step and his motion, and we've definitely seen him grow up on screen, which is awesome, and now he's king. He has that whole, authority, I think, now. Yeah.
And he had that great moment, too. I think, he's going beyond just childlike, and he's making his own decisions when he requests that Mary kind of really be involved in this. And yes, it's away from tradition, but he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He wants to show her the importance that there is an alliance between Scotland and France, and he's still very much, that's priority for him as well.
Right. I thought it was good on him to do that. Especially, he said that he wanted to, honor Frances, and Frances would have wanted that. And, they're kind of family. So I was really happy that he had her be there for his big day. And it came in handy because she was actually able to, give him some advice, give him Frances's handkerchief, which was really nice. So he wouldn't lose the scepter from his sweaty hands. And he seemed really appreciative of that. So...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the little things, the nice little handkerchief to wipe away.
Those sweaty palms.
Hey, guys. I mean, it's a big day. It's a big day.
Right.
I've never gotten crowned king, but I can imagine.
Aw, you're king of the Reign after show, Phil.
So they say. So they say. All right, let's go across the pond to Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. She's trying to get stuff out of Lola. Understandably so. And I like Lola kind of standing up for herself. And it's I can imagine, you don't just give away, if you have a girlfriend that's your best friend, mm-hmm. and then now you become some slave to the enemy. You don't just become best friends.
No, it's girl code. You're not going to give up your best friend, your bestie for life. Yeah. No way. I mean, Elizabeth has to know that. I mean, she can threaten all she wants, but Lola's smart, and she's not giving that up.
There was a great article I was reading. Lola survived rats in her bathtubs, this and that. She can survive some dresses being burnt. It's all good.
No kidding. She can survive Elizabeth's, kind of personality, I think. Especially, she's dealt with Narcisse. She's dealt with a whole lot that's gone in on her life, and she's not going to go that route.
Do you think? I mean, this was kind of this was a start of a friendship. Now, whether it becomes a full blossomed, thing remains to be seen. But do you want them to be friends? I kind of do.
You do? Why?
Because it's one of those things in the end, like, you know, that you have all these women. You have Catherine de Medici, you have Elizabeth, you have Lola's in there, but she doesn't really have a title. And of course you have Mary. And there's so much pressure of just men in this
True.
entire world.
Right.
That the worst thing that women need to be doing is going against themselves.
Very true. I totally agree with that. I think maybe eventually it'll happen, but I mean, obviously she's never going to be as close as Lola was to Mary. But I think we saw a little bit of how Lola was able to kind of finagle her way around not telling Elizabeth stuff about Mary, but still getting on Elizabeth's good side, because she has to kind of be on Elizabeth's good side in order to get, you know, her family out of prison and just live a more comfortable life for what, you know, the situation she's in. So, I mean, it could happen. They could become, I don't think besties, but somewhat friends.
I think
It's a possibility.
Absolutely. Now, so what do we think about William? This man. Here's the thing. I actually don't think he's that. The wig and the stuff, that's creepy. Yes, I understand.
Right, yeah.
But his servitude towards his country and you know, kind of ultimately what he did with the poison, in his own strange way. He loves her and he cares about his country.
But he poisoned her.
I get that.
Phil.
But I actually did like what he said about Dudley. That he didn't have, Dudley never had the respect for Elizabeth the way he did. Because he knew that, you know, that this was forbidden, it should never happen.
Right.
Therefore, if Dudley was respectful and mindful of that, and no one would have needed to poison anybody.
You don't just think that that was him just kind of being jealous and that was his way of saying, well, you know, what I did wasn't as bad as what Dudley did.
But here's the thing. So, like Dudley and all the, like, if she's dethroned, that's the easy way out. Because then, yes, they may be exiles, but the stereotypical, like, oh, at least they'll be together type of thing.
Right.
That was always the quote unquote easy way out of it. Mm-hmm. So no, I think in some strange way he took the harder road.
Oh my goodness. But what do you think about him poisoning her and, you know, intentionally killing her unborn child?
It's no different than what Catherine did with her daughter. You know, it's like it's the extreme form of love
going on. That is extreme.
Like to protect someone by basically harming them. Mm-hmm. Like the harm you caused by the poison versus the harm that could have been caused. That's, you know, it's the lesser of two evils. That's the interesting part. That's why we love Reign.
Exactly.
And I do believe that, yes, it is an evil, but it's the lesser of two evils. Just like what Catherine did with Claire, right?
Yes. It's been so long.
we didn't see the daughter today.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's the lesser. She hired that guy to do what he did, mm-hmm. and things worked out. And
so did you ever see or foresee William having a thing for her and it going this far?
Not in that way.
Yeah, neither did I.
Again, that's the part that's like a little bit creepy.
Right.
Because in some weird sicko way, he has been with her. It's like you formed, you know, you've molded a woman to be like, even though you can't be with her, you're with kind of the second next best thing.
Yeah, just have her wear a wig
and just call her name and this and that. No,
yeah,
it's just weird.
It was creepy. There was a lot of levels of creepiness going on tonight.
But I'm surprised. Like in all of this, it hasn't that it's been able to have been kept a secret for that long. You
mean him having his mistresses? Yeah. Or whatever, dress up like her. Yeah, that's true.
Because, I mean, you can see that being easy blackmail on anybody.
Right. Yeah, why did it take so long?
It just, you know,
You never know.
It just needs to come at the right time in the story.
Which it did, obviously.
So
Good for Lola. That was her one, like, seed she could plant and get in Elizabeth's favor.
She, do we call it luck? Do we call it Detective Lola? 'Cause she always has that, it's the perfect match of luck and getting the right information at the right time.
And people just like to tell her things, you know? She has that trustworthy, like, not look, but just aura about her.
Well, technically, see, she is trusting.
Yeah.
She is trustworthy.
She's trustworthy, right. So people just tell her things.
Yeah.
And I think it's part luck and then part that.
By the way, just the life lesson. The easiest way to become trustworthy is just don't talk and let people talk at you. You'll learn a lot that way.
So true.
Just keep your mouth quiet. You're like,
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to say about William and his wigs?
No, he's banished, right? From
Yeah.
now. He's gone. He's by.
But okay, so which one did you think? Okay, so for official terms, so we can declare to the fans, you were against his actions of the poison or for his actions of the poison?
Oh, I was against.
So you're pro-life.
No, well, I think it's a woman's choice. You know what I'm saying? But I could see her, I saw his reason for it, like you do. But then at the same time, it's like, that wasn't his decision to make.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Fair
wasn't his decision to make.
Fair enough. Well, let us know your guys' thoughts. Obviously, we're divided on this, but it led for a good discussion.
It did. It did.
Let us know. Let us know. I'm sure there's every woman right now has been like just angrily typing into the keyboard. All right. Speaking of women angry at men, let's talk about John Knox. I'm going to read a quick little summary of who he is. Obviously, there's much more to him, and whether or not Reign actually utilizes the history, that remains to be seen. It's just the way Reign goes. But John Knox, circa 1513, he died in 1572, so lived a pretty full life for that time.
Yeah.
He was a Scottish clergyman and writer who was a leader of the Protestant Reformation and is considered the founder of the Presbyterian denomination in Scotland. He believed to have educated at the University of St. Andrews and worked as a notary priest. Influenced by early church reformers such as George Wishart, he joined the movement to reform the Scottish church. He was caught up in political events and that involved the murder of Cardinal Beaton in 1546 and the intervention of the regent of Scotland, Mary de Guise. He was taken prisoner by French forces the following year and exiled to England on his release in 1549.
Yep.
So there's a little bit of a team, you know?
He's an actual person that lived in history.
And he is a legitimate threat to both Elizabeth and Mary.
Yeah, he doesn't like monarchs being queens, apparently.
No.
Yeah, so I don't like him. Not a fan.
Not a fan, but so the proposition comes up that an interreligious marriage could be sort of a key to Mary's reign in Scotland. Agree or disagree?
I don't want her to do that, just because I think her whole religion is part of her. Just like she said at the end, she's not going to change who she is. She's not going to go down that route and be kind of pushed around. So,
but in the end, she agrees to it. So it's kind of
right. But I don't think she'll go through with it.
Well, now she can't.
Yeah. So
she's not given a choice either,
right.
is she?
So I mean, it's something that she thought about and she weighed the options, and I mean, she kind of has to do what she has to do for her country, but in the end, I just don't see her. I couldn't see her actually going through with it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it just seems like a quick solution. Like,
right.
You know, think about in this time, how much would it take to rebuild a relationship with the Vatican?
Yeah.
Like, what do you have to get? Think about when you're pledging for a sorority or fraternity, like
Right.
all the steps they have to take just for that, and so this is a whole different level. You don't just, you secure a reign for a couple of years, but
Then you
not the
don't
long
have
term.
the Vatican behind you and other.
Yeah, that's like the cash cow for everybody, the Vatican.
Yeah.
So don't give up on the Vatican.
No,
I would
no.
advise against it.
Yeah. They wouldn't be too pleased with that.
No, but
No.
But Gideon, again, kind of the surprising thing of it all, he's the one who gives her and nudges her into doing this, going very much against what Elizabeth would want. So it's interesting that way, and especially when you compare it to Lola, who obviously is sticking by Mary's side, whereas Gideon, he's
Right.
kind of he's kind of more of a mercenary than a man of England.
Right. I feel like because he's been there for so long and he clearly does have some feelings for Mary, I think at least. Do you think he does?
I know he does.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, so I think he's not as much on Elizabeth's team. It's just kind of a job to him. I think he's looking out or trying to look out for Mary's best interest. But yeah.
Is it still the best? I don't think it's the best. I don't know. I really don't think it was. I think he believes that it was the best interest of Mary, but I don't believe
Right.
that is indeed the best interest for Mary.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's always been the great thing, is that Mary, through all of this, has been able to find. She's been able to carve out a path despite it being the harder route.
Right.
And I think the next 8 episodes, or well, technically, I guess now 7, it's going to really start to form John Knox.
Right.
We'll see where we end up with ultimately by the end of the season, but I think he's going to be now the main focus
Right.
for all of this.
He's like the new antagonist.
What about her brother, who didn't? So, what do they call it? What was the word? Treason, right? So, so it's treason to basically burn
Yeah.
Mary.
Yeah.
The doll. What do you call it? The voodoo doll?
Right. Effigy. Yeah.
I call it the voodoo doll of Mary. They burn her basically, and that's considered treason. And yet her brother, who's
Didn't
the
do anything. Yeah.
no.
Didn't do anything.
If you're Mary,
That's-
what are you thinking?
like, come on.
Can't I get a break?
Exactly. Do something.
You're
Grow
my
some
friggin' brother.
balls. Exactly. Do something. But I guess, his power in Scotland seems to have been diminished if he doesn't do anything. Like, he's got to be afraid of something.
I here's the interesting part. With the exception of Narcisse and a couple of very few men, the men are almost worse cowards
Yeah.
than the women. I mean, King Henry, that guy was ruthless. So he was one
Right.
of the exceptions for the men, but
Right.
everyone else is just.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Needs
Come
to
on,
grow
man
up
up.
hair. They need to grow up hair. They need to grow up hair. And I can't believe that, because normally when he comes to court, he's kind of all up in Mary's face and playing that role of being kind of macho, and then goes back and
Yeah, because it's easy to
Yeah.
tell someone like, "Hey, you should be doing this." And,
Right.
it's one of the easiest things to do in the world is to criticize someone, but now act upon it,
exactly.
and you didn't. Mm-hmm. And
now she's
bad
like,
move.
great, now my country is gonna be like torn to shreds.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't exactly know how it works in this time period, but it's one of those things that, let's say in the legal precedent in today's age, if you kind of just allow something to happen, then that becomes something to use in court later
Right, it's
on.
a
Of
precedent, yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, we allowed that to happen, so now we allow everything
Everything
to
to
happen.
Yep.
Come on, will you?
Just get with the program.
Just done messed up.
Yep.
See, now Mary's got to fix everyone's
Yeah,
mistakes.
exactly. It's just like more problems.
More problems.
More problems.
And one of the problems one of the easier problems of tonight, at least, but still nonetheless a problem, is we got to fix good old Aggie and Gideon.
Yeah.
The world's worst Father of the Year award goes to Gideon.
I don't know. I mean, he just doesn't know how to be a father, because obviously they've been separated since birth.
Yeah, but there's like, okay, the same way there's like maternal instinct. Not that a fatherly instinct is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you kind of know. And I would buy if the excuse was like, oh, I'm busy, knee deep in work. I can't, I don't have time. Hence
Right.
why I have like this nanny. Dude, you got time.
And he's like, I feed her, I tuck her in. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a little bit more than that.
he just doesn't have the wherewithal, the
Right.
knowledge to know,
Right.
like, you're lame.
Yeah.
And you know what?
To put it bluntly, yes.
Right or wrong, isn't it sexy when a guy can be good with children? Like, it's
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
and when he's not afraid of it, when he's just all in, and him being like the macho type that he is already, and then plus that, it's the perfect combination.
It is, but Mary has to help him along with that.
Yeah, and the reverse is true. I think like now Mary's kind of like,
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah.
Because-
Not looking so sexy.
because obviously she's not necessarily looking to wed him and have kids
Right.
with him, but obviously that's something that in her life she's thinking very much about is children.
Right.
That's been a major point of contention for years now.
Yeah. I mean, you could just see it in her face when that lady mistook the girl for her daughter. It's like, aw. That was a harsh one. That was a harsh one to watch. But yeah, Gideon he needed to step it up, and luckily Mary helped him out with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The children are our future. No, but I think also that's part of it because Mary did sense herself in this girl, and when you don't know where you are, and Mary didn't really have parents,
Right.
and so you're like, okay, well, what do I do? And so she doesn't want her to go through the same thing. So
Right.
of course
She
she's
could
gonna help,
relate. Yeah.
So good for Mary, always being wonderful.
Yeah. We love Mary.
All right, let's get to the meat of the episode. Finally, the killer is revealed. Satisfying or dissatisfying? Was it headed this way or did it just feel forced this way?
I felt like it felt forced this way, but now looking back, it kind of makes sense why the character was introduced, I guess. I didn't see it before until like I think the middle of this episode when they actually showed him killing the other guy, and then the next scene he appeared, he was wearing the same thing, and I was like, oh, okay, it's Christoph.
I think it's
And his level of creepiness like reached an all-time high tonight, for sure.
it did. I think it's one of those things like at the end of Gossip Girl, I won't reveal
Right.
it, but at the end of Gossip Girl, you find out who Gossip Girl is, and it's
Right.
like, okay, well, this is one of those things. Most of the facts make sense, but there's a few ones that just completely undermine it.
Right.
But we'll just go with the ones that make
Right.
that are
We'll
in
go with
favor of it.
Yeah.
So
Did you see it going this way?
no,
No.
Not
yeah.
at all.
Yeah, neither did I.
freaking Christoph.
I know.
Oh man, the thing that to me doesn't, I just don't understand the motive.
Right. Is he just a sociopath?
Yeah, I don't get like
Yeah.
obviously he has this blackmail on
Right.
Catherine, and a letter upon his death could be sent out if something were to happen to him. So he's
Right.
basically he's got
Like an
carte
insurance
blanche.
plan? Right, exactly.
But what was it all for?
Right. Yeah.
What is the reason?
Don't know.
I guess he just likes doing it.
He likes to kill. He's a serial killer, maybe?
And part of the whole thing is that just before it seemed so mysterious, and we've always been down this route of is it supernatural and this and that, and then to get a complete opposite where it's just this weird guy that we've kind of, I can't say grown to love, but like,
Right.
perhaps I can say like,
Right, yeah.
it's just a little off-putting.
It is. I didn't see it coming, but now it makes sense for why they brought in the character. Because before I was like, okay, he's just, Catherine's fling. Like, he's just, kind of the castle gigolo, I guess you could say. But didn't really understand what the importance of the character was. Now I guess it kind of makes sense.
And it also feels like it feels a little bit demeaning to Catherine, I guess, in a way, to admit that it is the killer. Only because obviously she caught him in tonight's episode and she was the mastermind. However, he does have a one-up on her, nonetheless. And I'm sure she'll figure out some way.
Absolutely.
She always does.
Absolutely.
But it's too much time has been between the start of all this to now her catching her, and it just doesn't feel like Catherine. And I get that it wasn't her primary focus, that, you know, tonight she finally gets down to it and she's able to figure this out. But I guess then that doesn't say much about Bash, does it?
Right, CSI Bash.
Not very good, is he?
No, salt.
You know.
He found the salt, so he found the killer, yeah.
Do you think he's going to approach Catherine about this any sort of way? Because you knew when she's looking at what the killing... we'll call it the judgment of all of this. Catherine's face, she's just so good at just you know, no, they all say they're innocent upon death and all this. But Bash notices that.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna bring it up.
I think so too. I think he's gonna notice, because, you know, Bash always has the good conscience going on, so he's gonna be like, did we actually kill an innocent man, and what do you know? And he'll be CSI Bash.
Hopefully.
Exactly. And somehow get to the bottom of it, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always like when Bash preaches. Because early on, he's like, hey, man, come on. I don't care how you got here.
Oh, right.
Just do your job.
Yeah.
Do a good job. Prove your worth.
And you can raise your place. Yeah.
I like that. Oh, Bash was amazing.
Love it. Always good to see Bash.
Yeah. And this is gonna. I want Bash to get to the bottom of this because Catherine needs him.
I think that's why they wrote it so he saw her face. Obviously, he knows this isn't the end of it.
Yeah, and they haven't really interacted that much either. Obviously, Francis went to Bash a lot of times, especially towards the end, and he became really trusting, and Bash enacted many things, with the exception of this. Apparently, this just couldn't be solved. But now, you know, Catherine and Bash have never really had any sort of real relationship because he's not her son,
Right.
And so forth. So I would like to see that happen.
I would like to too, and I think it'd be good for, I don't know, French court too, because now I think obviously now she knows, you know, he's not a threat to the crown. He's just honestly there to do his job and be CSI Bash. So that's a new thing, CSI Bash.
I saw a bunch of hashtags about that. So yeah, no, I guess that's the biggest question of the night is what is Christoph's up to? Like, if you guys at home have any inkling where this is headed with Christoph and what he's gonna do,
tweet us, let us know.
And this poor baker's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh man, and her husband.
Yikes. It's going down. How long do you think he'll be around for?
Christoph?
Yeah. Before this all gets unfolded.
2 to 3 episodes.
Yeah. Should we save what you think is going to happen to him for predictions?
Oh, you know what? It would be very poetic if his head was chopped off in the same way that he's been doing it to people.
That's so true.
But I don't think it's going to happen. We don't have... It's always one of those things that your good guys, you know, they can never... It's like Batman. Batman can never kill the bad guy.
The bad guy.
So, you know, our good guys won't do that.
Yeah. Maybe. You never know.
I highly doubt it.
You never know. Him and Bash could get in a sword fight of some sort.
Just accidentally.
Exactly.
I don't think so.
You never know.
All right. Well, anything that we missed from tonight's episode?
Don't think so. I think we covered it all.
All right. Well, if there is something that you guys were dying to talk about that we didn't get into depth on, or if just any stray observations, that's what the comment section's for. That's why we have it. That's why we love you. You guys have been amazing for all the 3 seasons thus far. And as mentioned, we're getting a 4th, so you guys get us for a little bit more. But as such, one of the fun things that's come out of this entire journey is Castle Corner, and you guys love it. We like bringing it to you guys. Keaton, still, please tweet at Keaton.
Where's the book?
At Keaton Markey. Please tweet her so I can have my damn book back that you guys so graciously donated to this panel. And for this very purpose,
Keaton.
Castle Corner. But anyway, we got a great castle tonight that we found.
Yeah.
I figured we try to mix it up every now and then, so we picked the Japanese castle, Matsumoto Castle. Much better known for me as Crow Castle, because it's a lot simpler to say, and it's called that because of its black exterior. It's located in the city of Matsumoto. And it's within easy reach of Tokyo by road or rail.
Yeah, the keep, which was completed in the late 16th century, maintains its original wooden interiors and external stonework. It is listed as a national treasure of Japan.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Matsumoto Castle is a flatland castle because it's not built on a hilltop or mid-rivers, but on a plain. Its complete defenses would have included an extensive system of interconnecting walls, moats, and gatehouses.
That's right.
It looks so cool.
If you're watching the video, feel free to check it out, and we'll try to tweet some of these photos, or just look it up on Google. But nonetheless, it just looks awesome. We have a couple picture of the exterior, right? And as we talked about Crow Castle, it's got the black and things like that.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is the juxtaposition between what the exterior looks like, right? Because it's all very stone.
Yeah.
And then when you get inside, it's wooden.
Yeah.
So, most of the times you don't really think about
See
that.
right.
Which I found was interesting. There's a picture of what the parts of the castle are, which they're in I'm not even going to try to name those.
We'll butcher those.
But yeah, I think a really cool place.
Very cool place.
There's a map of it, of where it's kind of located. Again, not that Japan by itself is. I don't really know how big Japan is. I used to think Hawaii in proximity to LA was like an hour away until I found out it was 6 hours. I was like, hell no.
It takes a minute to get there.
Yeah, I'm not going there. But anyway, it's close to Tokyo, so there it is on the map. And I think we have a few.
You can take a bullet train and get there pretty quickly.
Yeah, I've never been to Japan, so
it's awesome. You have to go. There's so much cool stuff to see.
I bet. One of my friends just went, and they have like a fountain clock, meaning the water goes down and it forms the time.
There's just so much cool stuff there.
This stuff?
I'm telling you, if you ever have a chance to go to Japan, go.
All right, here's the interior, right? So, out of all the pictures that we just saw, you would not know that this is associated with that castle.
Right.
I was just blown away. So there you go. Very cool castle. And that's Castle Corner for this week.
I love it.
Hashtag Keaton, get me my frickin' book back before I beat you upside the head with it.
Yeah.
Hashtag
No.
just kidding about the last part. Anyway. All right. So that was Castle Corner. Hopefully you guys have fun with it.
Music.
Yes. All right, let's get into predictions for the rest of the season. 7 more episodes to go.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, where are we headed?
All right. So one of my predictions, I think Narcisse somehow knows about Kristoff and Catherine.
Well, he did catch them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He did catch them. And then that last scene where they're all, I guess, at the coronation ball, he read something and then did that whole toast to Catherine. So maybe that was the letter, or like the insurance, kind of, that Kristoff was talking about. Like extra insurance. Like, I'm going to tell Narcisse.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good prediction, man.
It could be.
CSI Alina.
Yep.
No, that's excellent. Excellent. I love that. I think Kristoff, he'll stay for a little bit. It would be interesting, now that you say that, if somehow Narcisse was able to manipulate him and he was the one who kind of defunct it all. but for his gain, not really for
Right.
Catherine's, because that's the way it normally goes.
Yeah.
And what I'm most interested to, I don't know if we'll fully get more of it, but Elizabeth is not doing so well in her own country.
Right.
I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that she has to basically come hidden in her own little carriage,
Yeah.
rather than be paraded around, is not a good sign of things. And so I want to see her, we felt the pressures kind of mounting on her, but now I really want to see her deal with it in an interesting way. And obviously that's in many ways tied to Mary, but at the same time, it really comes down to a guy. Both their problems come down to a guy and having a kid.
Yeah. They both need a guy and they both need a kid.
You know what? And sometimes that's what life, that's the two hardest things. And, you got to find a good guy and just,
And then have a kid.
that's it.
Sounds easy.
But it's not.
Not so easy.
Think of all the dating apps out there just for this single purpose.
Exactly.
Can you imagine?
At least
the rain?
we know this is like a centuries old problem. Yeah.
What would the Rain dating app be called?
Oh my goodness. I don't even know.
Hashtag Royals?
Yeah. Swipe right, swipe left for Royals. Yeah.
Blue Bloods?
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, beyond that, I don't think we'll get John Knox too much just yet. I think, like what they did with Elizabeth last season, we'll probably get John Knox in some sort of fashion towards the end of the season.
Right.
Even though I think, obviously, just from reading that stuff, he's an interesting character, so I like that they're introducing that element of it. So we'll see.
Do you think Mary goes back to Scotland in this season or next season?
She'll go to Scotland at the tail end of this season.
Yeah.
And I want to see Charles now start to do stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Like
that'd
really be king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to be the king.
It is, apparently.
I want to see that. Anyway, that's my prediction. That's your prediction.
Good one. Yep.
Let us know what you guys think, what you guys anticipate, what do you guys hope for?
Yeah.
We've got a lot more episodes to go. Where's Jonathan Keltz? He's gonna come back in that. Where's Greer?
Yeah.
And where's Kenna? Nobody
Yeah.
knows. Nobody can answer where
No.
Kenna is.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, thank you guys for joining us yet again on another Reign After Show here at AfterBuzz TV. Keaton is very much alive, but nonetheless, tweet at her, get us our book back. Alina, where can people support you in the meantime?
Everyone can find me on all social media, the YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, at Alina Vision.
That's right. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to us on YouTube. Get all the videos there, or on iTunes. Leave a rating, comment. We do appreciate it. You guys have allowed, certainly me over the years, Alina's a little bit newer, but for
Right.
me to just be me and be a little bit silly with it.
I love it.
So I appreciate that you guys come back every single week and support us in that way. And by the way, check out the new AfterBuzzTV.com. It's gotten a little bit of a facelift since probably you last saw it, because we were doing Reign.
Yeah.
Seems like 20 years ago we were doing Reign.
Seems like forever. I haven't been with you for a long time.
I see you
now.
every day.
I know. We do see each other very often.
Anyway, so lots of catching up to do. So check out all those things. And by the way, some great stuff in the works. In general, check out AfterBuzzTV.com for all the latest updates and various things. So we appreciate your support. Until next time, bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.